Mitchell Hughes, ID 1184177, STMG488, the showcasing of strategic alliance knowledge. I've chosen to do mine on a fictitious business case between the New Zealand craft beer company Tuatara Breweries and Heineken. A little bit about the industry. There are a large number of craft beer companies within the small New Zealand market, and the domestic sector is very highly competitive. In line with global trends, New Zealand consumers are opting for premium brands, and the volume of beer has fallen 10% since 2008, reflecting an increasing preference towards quality over quantity. Craft beer currently makes up 2% of the beer sales within New Zealand, and 10% of the craft beer product ranges under the three big breweries are accounted for. However, craft beer is still the fastest growing segment in New Zealand at 25% each year, and New Zealand hops are in high demand overseas, with New Zealand brewers and hop growers having to step up their expansion strategies to keep up. A little bit about the two companies. Tuatara is based in Wellington with two breweries. Their current management structure is a CEO, they have a craft brew manager, they have a small management team, a sales force, a logistics partner, and an export division. The company has a strong brand and market position within the New Zealand craft beer segment, and they hold just under 5% market share. Tuatara exports to Australia, Singapore, China, the United States and Europe, and currently produces over 1 million litres of beer each year. This rapid growth has also found them in the top three fastest growing breweries within New Zealand. Heineken, that's produced by the Dutch brewing company Heineken International. The brand pretty much speaks for itself. It's one of the most prominent brands in the world, let alone the alcohol industry. They have a 9.1% global market share with 250 brands over 70 different countries. Historically, they've been very successful with their partnerships and alliances with the UEFA Champions League, sponsoring the Rugby World Cup and various events and music festivals around the world. So the relevant importance of what the strategic alliance would provide this business, for Tuatara the benefits are huge. It provides opportunities to gain access to new markets, especially overseas. With Heineken sold in over 70 countries, that's a lot of doors being opened, and they have a very strong footprint in Asia, and New Zealand craft brews are proving very popular in China's high-end beer market. Imported craft beers saw a 60% increase in 2015, and with this growing demand trend from Chinese consumers for high-end beers, it'll help global giants like Heineken finally unlock higher profits in the world's largest beer market, with Asia's potential market being 750 times that of New Zealand's. The focus on premium products reflects a shift in China's 1.4 billion consumers to a more tailored and individual product. Craft beer won't appeal to everyone, but a willingness to spend more to stand out from the crowd will also support imported brands such as Heineken. Heineken can also provide significant fuel growth capabilities for Tuatara, especially when they go into reaching these new markets. They will be able to give them the financial backing that they need to set up and hit the ground running when they get there. Going with Heineken also provides improved brand credibility and enhanced brand reputation, and to be recognised as a subsidiary as one of the world's most iconic alcohol brands. Scalability as a barrier to entry, as I mentioned before, is also no longer an issue. Economies of scale is obviously there for adoption, should they choose to align with each other and reduce the overall production costs for Tuatara. For Heineken, the company undertakes a fresh new product range to diversify their portfolio even further, and they also gain the ability to sell the Kiwi uniqueness to the rest of their already established markets. Tuatara won't do much in terms of revenue for Heineken. However, they will gain a competitive advantage for having a craft beer under their label, and it creates strategic choices for the firm which they may not have had before to take the company in new directions, and it also helps mitigate the risk of the declining beer sales around the world. It also allows Heineken to stay ahead of the pack by being able to offer their trusted and their well-renowned brands such as their Heineken around the world, and also to offer something a little bit more unique and a little bit different that is also appealing to the changing consumer tastes and preferences. It also allows Heineken to adopt knowledge and resources that Tuatara has been able to perfect here in New Zealand, and to be able to use those strategies and those recipes around the world. How I'd go about structuring the alliance, I would put a huge emphasis on the performance metrics from the executive level all the way down to the operational level. Shared metrics bring immediate alignment of focus between the two parties. When executive sponsors are held accountable for the shared metrics, the two firms become aligned as one. Strategic alliances, I think, in this case would be best served as a formalised governance structures with clear obligations that are directly linked to the shared metrics that are underpinning the relationship. Regular meetings between the executives from the partnering companies to continue building that trust and also to show an interest in each other, I think, is extremely important. Trust is also perhaps one of the most important building blocks of this relationship. Obviously, with the two companies being so different in size in terms of their global reach, in terms of their employment, and in terms of their revenue, there's going to be a huge amount of trust needed for both companies to have an input. There's also going to be preconceived notions about the deal structure that can cause bias in any strategy, and ideally the strategy should dictate the optimal structure of the alliance, and it's critical to be clear about the deal breakers and about the floors and the ceilings of the negotiations early in the alliance. How to plan for it? It's a big step, but to firstly secure the strategic alliance and define what type of partner you are seeking and what strengths you can bring to the table and what strengths they can bring to the table, and asking the questions like how well do they perform, what will they share the same level of commitment, are they trustworthy, are they financially stable, what do their customers say about them, do they have any existing partnerships which may cause a conflict of interest. Make sure that the communication channels are kept open and that there's an understanding and respect of the cultural differences between both companies, obviously coming from very, very different backgrounds, and Heineken's headquarters in Singapore, there will be cultural barriers that will occur. Also deciding on reporting methods, milestones and goals for the partnership, agree in advance on how the partnership will proceed if the goals are not met, and also look for genuine synergies. The partnership should lead to something bigger than the both parts that are creating it, and it should be a win-win situation. It's also important that every alliance also includes an exit strategy. It doesn't imply a pessimistic view of the relationship, but rather it recognises that all alliances have a natural life. In terms of managing the alliance, I believe a well-structured alliance needs an implementation plan that is developed before the deal is signed, and a full launch strategy that needs to have been jointly developed before the deal is announced. And to hit the ground running, the implementation plan with specific action plans is used with resources assigned to both of the alliance partners to be known beforehand. Also, periodic checks to be used, which I think is going to be critical. If a shift in a partner's strategic direction is taking place, then there is a risk that the alliance may not be a strategic priority anymore. An example, if Heineken decides to invest heavily in standardising their product offerings, this may go against exactly what Tuatara had set out to do in the alliance. Also, there's re-evaluating the alliance down the track and measuring the results, and regularly determining whether or not the alliance is achieving its objectives. The metrics need to be tailored to the alliance and include both qualitative and quantitative data. The level of trust and the ability and willingness for cross-organisational cooperation and collaboration is key for both parties. And the relationship will not succeed if both parties do not have the same expectations of each other. If one party is expecting results within the first 12 months and the other is expecting a 3-year horizon, conflict is going to be inevitable. The key is to agree on the standards and the metrics very, very early on. So the upsides and downsides, well, the upsides, there's opening new doors to growth, building credibility, sharing marketing and R&D costs, gaining new skills at low cost, pooling complementary resources together, reducing the overall risk of both companies, sharing customer databases and international exposure with new market penetration, using Heineken's global reach, the broad customer base that they have and the networks that they have, and then taking Tuatara's uniqueness and product offering that is appealing to the new consumers' tastes and preferences, I think is a winning combination. However, there are disadvantages. Some brewers say offshore brewing will have an impact on the product's marketability, given that it will lose its New Zealand badge, I guess. There will also be disputes. If the relationship breaks down, ownership of intellectual property and jointly developed products will have a conflict of interest. Cultural differences, working together with a company that is very, very different in size can bring cultural issues, as the ways of doing business will be very, very different for both companies. There's also going to be a high level of commitment needed from both companies, and to make the partnership work, it's going to require a full level from the executive level all the way down to the operational to throw everything at it. There's also the chance that Tuatara may become overwhelmed by Heineken as a partner. When partnering with a large company, there's the risk of getting overwhelmed and pressured into going in a certain direction that the larger partner wants to take. And when aligning with another company, you do lose some degree of control when the business is perceived and jointly created. And in Tuatara's case, it may lose its edge as a unique craft beer supplier. There's also merged reputations. When the alliance is formed, you open yourself up to being judged based on the actions of your alliance partner, regardless of whether or not your customers actually use the services of your partner or not. It will reflect on both partners in the alliance. Thank you.